Hey Tony, it's Friday, and first off, to answer your question of the week, yeah, it seems like a good idea. I don't really have much else to add, but it seems cool. And I think the piggies want to say hello. Hello, piggies! There's a Holly who just went in the little pig loo. There's a Lucy who's the fluffy one. There's a little baby Willow who's hiding underneath that thing. And a little baby Autumn back there. Hey, Autumn Bottom. Congratulations, you have met all the piggies now. Um, I don't really have a lot to talk about this week. I guess for a little bit of an update on my training, this week was a bust of a week. A lot of it was because I got upgraded to 2.5G on Tuesday. So Wednesday I was just exhausted all day. Yesterday I didn't get home until late because I talked to you. And Monday I did a little bit. I think I went for a nice little walk afterwards. But this week was a bit of a bust just because I got upgraded to 2.5G this week, and that took a little bit out of me. I'm not looking forward to the day I get my second shot, which is unfortunately May 4th. Because I imagine it's going to be a bit of a wasted week as well, but we'll see what happens. So what I want to talk about this week, though, is it kind of goes a little bit into the podcast video I did last week. This is a specific story in a podcast that I believe I forgot to mention last week that I've been listening to a lot. So the podcast I've been listening to is the Outside podcast. It's run by people who run Outside Magazine, which is a pretty cool magazine for all things outdoors. So I wanted to move my feet, make sure weren't any piggies by me. But the story I heard today was awesome. Really awesome, heartwarming, and just one of those true underdog stories that Hollywood loves, but just don't really touch. And this is the story of a guy named Joe Stone. So, Joe Stone was an extreme athlete. He always had been, and he loved that was his drug, was adrenaline sports. He did a lot of skydiving. He was a skateboarder for a while, and he did I can't remember what exactly it's called, but he did low altitude paragliding. And he loved it, and he would, run up a mountain in Missoula, Montana, where everyone there works for Hank Green. He would run up a mountain, jump off the mountain on his paraglider, land, and run right back up again. And it was kind of cool to hear that story to start off with, but the real, heroic part of it is after he crashed. So the podcast series is called Signs of Survival After the Crash, and it tells the story of Joe Stone. So what happened in this specific occasion that led to the story is he took a jump off a mountain that he'd done 1,000,001 times, but he didn't stick the landing. He crashed. He smashed several vertebrae. He almost died. Had an EMT not been right there on site, he probably would have died. When he came to, after a little while later, he was a paraplegic. Sorry, not even. He was a he was he was a paraplegic, but he was almost a quad. He had very little motion in his arms. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was called, but I can't remember the specific title. But in an instant, his life completely changed. And he at first didn't know what he was going to do because he had always been this big adrenaline seeking guy, and he was now stuck. Now, what he did though that's just awesome is he worked his butt off to go through all the therapy. And what usually takes a year-long process for people to get independence, he did it in 7 months. It's usually a year to 2 years, and sometimes even 3. Joe Stone did this in 7 months, which is remarkable. And that was learning how to breathe, learning how to drink, learning how to eat, and learning how to do all of our daily tasks that us able-bodied people just completely that are just routine to us. Getting changed, going to the bathroom, all of that. And he had to completely relearn all this in 7 months. And this story just keeps getting even more heroic. So what Joe did is, after he got to this point, he realized what he wanted to do. He wanted to be the first quadriplegic to ever succeed on an Ironman triathlon. And he trained and trained and trained for 8 months to do so. And he was from Minnesota, so he wasn't exactly used to a lot of deep sea swimming. But he ended up working his butt off to go through all of this, and they went down to Florida until a storm hit and made the swells of the waves super high. So the way Ironman triathlons work is there are three portions, and you have to do each portion in a specific amount of time. It starts with a swimming, then it goes to a biking, then it goes to a running. And what Joe did was, this is one of the heartbreaking parts of it. He worked so hard, but because of the storm, the swells of the waves were too high. He missed his time on the swim by 2 minutes. And he became the first quadriplegic to ever compete in a Ironman triathlon. But because of those storm swells, he wasn't able to succeed. And then a couple weeks later, an African man was the one who actually ended up becoming the first quadriplegic to ever succeed, to ever complete an Ironman. But Joe took it all in stride, and he realized that, okay, I did this. This has been a huge thing for athletes in my position. What do I want to do now? And what he did is he went back to his basics, and he started skydiving again. Skydiving in a wheelchair. And after a little bit of time, he did a base jump off of a bridge and stuck the landing. And this story was incredible. Like, I really glossed over it, but I heavily recommend listening to it. And I also recommend checking out Joe Stone. It's the Joe Stone Foundation. He has a lot of opportunities to donate to help other quadriplegic athletes, and it's really an awesome story. So Tony, my question for you, if your entire life changed in an instant, how would you respond? Tony, I'll see you on Monday. Later, bro.